Welcome, everybody. Welcome all to another edition of Founders Conversation. I'm your host, Karaoke, coordinator of Founders Profit Academy, a community under SFA. At SFA, we help business owners connect with markets, mentors, and money through our different communities. In my role in the Founders Passion Academy, I support licensed training coaching programs which allow entrepreneurs to reach their full potential. Today's conversation is a part two from our topic Blueprint for Success Crafting a Business Strategy for 2025. Today, we'll bring on board the time management aspect, hacks for entrepreneurs and professionals, and leveraging accountability partners for growth and execution. Today, I'm going to be joined by two guests, Coach Mary Shege, who was with us last week covering part one, and Mr. Kimotho Ngure, who is a program director at Time Africa. I'm going to introduce Mr. Ngure Kimotho. So Ngure Kimotho is a Kenyan organizational development specialist with over 20 years of work experience in top management positions in several multinational organizations. As the program director at Time Africa, has implemented over 1,500 corporate training programs under their Team Action Executive Development Program, which is aimed at improving performance and strategy execution. He's also the founder of Sureka International, a Kenyan SME specializing in hygiene, safety, and beauty branded products, which are traded around East Africa. As an avid farmer, Kimotho has an orchard of avocado, coffee, tea, macadamia, and beekeeping. He's also the host of Mastering Time Management, which is an online training program that aims at assisting professionals and business people to make their lives more enjoyable, productive, and purposely profitable. I'll introduce Mary again for those who didn't manage to hear about who she is. So, Coach Mary has had over 30 years of unparalleled experience across corporate leadership, entrepreneurship, and business coaching. Mary has left her mark in Africa, the US, and Europe, delivering sustainable growth and innovative solutions. She has led cross-continental teams, championed change, and driven excellence, including a decade of impactful service with a leading global Japanese multinational, where she embraced the principles of Ikai and Kaizen, living proof of purpose-driven continuous improvement. Mary's journey is one of resilience, vision, and global impact. From her roots in Kenya to her rise as a global corporate leader and certified coach, now in the Appalachian Mountains, she embodies the values of perseverance and transformation. As a Braven leadership and mentorship coach, she is shaping future generations, empowering fellow students to unlock their potential, chart impactful careers, and embrace leadership. I will therefore introduce Mary to give us a short recap of last session that we had, and then we will jump right in. Over to you, Mary. Unmute, Mary. I know.
I know. And
Okay, got it.
I was already halfway with my story.
I know,
So
sorry.
viewers, sorry about that. This is what happens when you try and do things at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'm connecting it from the Appalachian region. And as you can hear, some parts of my brain are probably asleep. And here I am, all full now. Well, last week we went through a very wonderful session, which was very vibrant in terms of vision setting. What is it that we want to do and do it early in the year? And as we do our business, our personal visions. We looked at the way that it's important to have clarity, and our visions were set at a particular period. Were we planning for 2 years? Were we planning for 3 years? And for those who want to even plan for 10 years, that is also an option. And we are planning for both our businesses, our
Mhm.
careers, and our personal life because we agreed that it's important to plan. And one of the things that we went through was how do we come up with our visions? And our visions will be something that will help us have a roadmap. What do we want to achieve in the future? Whether it's in parts, yeah, in terms of our personal life, in terms of our professional life, in terms of our businesses, what is that personal plan that we are putting together? What is that professional plan that we are putting together, the
Mhm.
business plan, so that we can have a framework for ensuring that our projects, our teams, and all the various organized things that we want are actually achieved. We went through a toolkit ensuring that we do have smart strategies. We are able to delegate around certain situations and circumstances so that we are able to achieve our unique dreams. And even after we do that, today we look at the program. How do we ensure we now succeed as far
Mhm.
as our planning is concerned? Because we said we can plan, and as far as planning is concerned, it's good and great. But if we don't execute and make sure that it's executed and
Mhm.
successfully, that is
Mhm.
all it's going to end up being. And today we actually come in now to that section of executing. What is it that we need to do to make sure that our plan is executed properly? Who are the people we are going to surround ourselves with so that our businesses can actually succeed? And we call these people partners in believing. Who are the people who believe in our vision?
Mhm.
Who are the people who are believing in our strategic plans so that we get mutual encouragement, so that we have vision alignment, and we are able to stay focused and agreeing on what we need. And as we do that, we look at all the various stakeholders who we deal with, because as business people, as career people, we do have a whole list of entrepreneurs, we have a whole list of clients, we have partners, we have our own personal families, we have the community, we have so many people who are in our lineup who actually
Mhm.
require us to succeed. And how do we make sure that we are working together and jointly so that we plan well and execute well? Thank you, Kathy.
Excellent recap. Wow. It's making me start writing notes already. So I think for my go-to statement so far for 2025, partners in believing.
Mhm.
Very profound. All right. So let's jump in to our part two, where we bring on board, as I said, the time management aspects, hacks for entrepreneurs and professionals, and leveraging accountability partners for growth and execution. So I'll start again with Mary. So, talking about setting the right goals. So, we find that many entrepreneurs set big goals but struggle with execution. What strategies can founders use to set realistic yet ambitious business goals?
Well, thank you very much, Kathy, for that question. Now, when we went through our setting of goals last week, we
Mhm.
agreed that one of the things that's important is to make sure that these goals use the SMART framework. And
Mhm.
the SMART framework means they're actually very specific for the S, M,
Yes.
measurable, A, achievable, R, relevant, and T, time bound. And why is this? This helps to ensure that these goals are actually practical. It
Mhm.
ensures that these goals are actually actionable. Because if we build these goals with a specific plan, meaning that, and I'll give an example, I want to double my revenue by a certain time, or I want to increase my customer engagement by
Mhm.
20% in 3 months. This way, when you come to measuring your quarterly goals or your half year goals or annual goals, you actually have a very specific, actionable step that you are looking at. So sometimes we do find that our many dreams become a struggle. And why? Because they could be overwhelming. Sometimes they could be vague. So how do we
Mm,
ensure that they're actually realistic, yet ambitious? Because we want to be stretched. We want to achieve
yes.
what we need to achieve, but at a stretched manner. And the other thing that we can also be able to do is to have accountability structures around us in terms of whether we want business mentors, whether we want people who will help us in terms of learning, in terms of just looking at what they are doing and want to do that so that we can actually also stay flexible in terms of reviewing those goals. If we plan something and what we planned has not actually amounted to success, how can we go back to the drawing board? How do we go back and review it and ensure that we've adjusted so that we can be
Mm,
in alignment? Is it with the market forces? Is it with the industry demands? Is it with the customer emerging themes? What is it
mm.
that we need to align with so that these very goals that we have set, they're big, but we don't struggle with them, and we have those accountability structures around us. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kimotho, as I read your bio, those are very many years of experience. I think when you're actually implementing some of the programs, maybe you can give us some insights on what you find, especially coming in. These are corporates, they already have their goals, but by the time they're engaging you, they sort of have not implemented everything. So, what happens? Has he dropped off? Oh dear, our guest has dropped off.
It's okay. It happens. It happens with network. I can
Oh,
as he gets himself reorganized to join us.
okay.
I can look at I can look at answering that and just looking at what are the various things that we need to put together. And in terms of my other action was to look at what is it that as a person that I've come through this journey as an entrepreneur myself,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and one of the things that comes up as a learning is the time that you require to get yourself set up, the time that you require to get yourself in the process of what needs to be done,
mm-hmm,
and there are various systems and processes. As an entrepreneur, one, I trained as a coach. And for me to actually get to my certification of PCC, and PCC means
mm-hmm,
that I'm at a professional level where you've actually coached for more than 500 coaching hours before you
mm-hmm,
get credentialed. Now, before you even get the coach title, you have to go through the initial training because this is an area that has been it's run out. People nowadays think that there's no regulation in coaching. There are actually some structures. So you have to do your initial coaching, and the coaching training takes time to do that. So you have to create time to be able to do that because you have this dream, you have this vision, and then you put down all the things. What are the things that you need to do to achieve your dream? The minute I had that breakthrough idea that I can actually become a coach, I
mm-hmm,
hadn't trained as a coach. I had actually practiced as a coach on the job because of
mm-hmm,
the various roles I had, because of the
mm-hmm,
various one-to-one trainings I had. But that did
mm-hmm,
not make me a coach. That meant I needed to make time. I needed to
mm-hmm,
make time to go through the coaching program. This coaching program took almost 6 months to go through it. And once you
mm-hmm,
do that, you still have to go through another 100 hours of practice, which is before you actually can become a credentialed associate coach. You have to have 100 hours. Now, this 100 hours means you have to have people to look for you. You're a new coach. People are even not very sure about what coaching is all about. So it
Mm,
takes
that's
time.
true.
So as a business, how do you ensure that the people who are
Hello,
looking
Kathy.
for you are going to be able to get you? How do you ensure that even as you get your coaching hours, you're able to look at when am I going to be available? When am I going to practice? When am I going to get my credentials? And even after you now get your credentials, is keeping your business thriving because you are looking at being known, putting your actions out there. So now that is one of my learning journeys. And I have come into a place where time, yes, will always be a challenge, but we have so much time in our hands. How do we ensure that the 24 hours we have, we actually use them creatively and we are able to get a maximum out of that? Thank you. And I
Hmm.
think your mother is in and out again. So
He's in and out. We just
he's in
continue,
and
continue the program. We go
he's
to
in
our
and out.
next.
He will join
Yeah,
us.
let's just go
He
to the
will
next
join us.
one.
That is what happens with technology. When you
Yeah.
have technology, it becomes a little bit of a challenge, but it happens.
Now
Yes.
that you have mentioned your coaching, so let me come and ask, overcoming roadblocks.
Mm-hmm.
What are the common challenges you probably faced when you were starting out the coaching business? When, of course, when you're trying to, of course, the goals, and how did you overcome them? And can you give some insights on how else other entrepreneurs might engage the same?
Sure. Thank you so much for that question, Kathy. And the minute you ask that question, it gives me a smile because one of the things I had to work on was a mindset change because I'd
Oh,
come from a corporate world. You come from
yes,
a corporate world where you
yes.
are actually a team leader. You are
Mm-hmm,
used to giving instructions. You are
mm-hmm,
using to setting systems. You're used to setting
mm-hmm,
processes and
mm-hmm.
getting things going. Now, when you start training as a coach, it starts changing your mindset. One
Mm,
thing you are told, you talk less and you listen more.
okay.
So that is the reason why we were given 2 years and it works very well as far as coaching is concerned. Learning to be an active listener is actually one of the things that I had actually to go through because you
Mm,
have to listen. As a coach, I sit down and I listen. I hear what you have because when you show up to me as a coach, you have all the resources that you need. I am not there to fix you, and you don't come to coaching for fixing because sometimes people actually think that when you come in, or everybody who goes to for coaching has a problem. Not
mhm,
necessarily. Not
mhm,
necessarily. You might be wanting
mm,
to build this business. You've just come up with this strategy now, and you need to execute. So you need a coach to help you execute this. And a coach would be a partner in believing in you. So
yes.
now, as a coach, I have to listen to you. I have to hear what are those things that you are planning, not to tell you.
Mm,
So one of my biggest challenge was to convert myself from being a teller to an active listener, hearing and listening and not telling. Because when you come, you have your solutions and you have
mm,
the best intentions. Everything that you want to do is because you want to achieve success. And everything that you want to do is for your own good also and for the good of your profession and what you're working on. So, as a
mm,
coach, how do I learn to help you just exploit whatever unlimited potential you have? The other
mm,
challenge I had was what we call limiting beliefs or imposter syndrome. You're looking and
mm,
saying, wow, this coaching thing is new. It's just come up in the world. Nobody understands. Nobody knows what coaching is. Will I be able to
mm,
make an impact out there? I was known well when I was a professional corporate manager. I was interacting with businesses. I was interacting with heads of organizations. Now I'm going out there and I'm making a new n- no name for myself. So those are
yeah.
some of the things. So just believing that I can actually do it, overcoming that imposter syndrome or the limiting beliefs. Sometimes we have what we call gremlins, little voices that speak to us. And it says,
Mm,
wow, how do you think you can be able to achieve that? There are people who've been doing this way before you. Well, coaching is
mm,
not a profession, it's just talking. So all those things. overcoming all those things. Those are part
Yeah.
of the things that I had to overcome. And thank you for that question. It reminds me of that journey, and it's been a wonderful journey. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Kimotwa, you're back.
Unmute.
You need to unmute. You're back. You're back again, and
Unmute.
you need to unmute.
Yes, I have done that now. Thank you.
All right. So I hope we don't lose you again. So moving along. So I wanted to find out, give me some insights as regards when you're setting up Sureka, some of
Yes.
the roadblocks that you got across and how you came overcome them.
Well, in fact, for maybe this is for the part of the world we live in, and some of the challenges we have had, of course, as young entrepreneurs, as just startup, was capitalization is a major one, and the other one is the geopolitics in our country or in these regions are quite tough. Big geopolitics, as you know, these things affect your business, but they are outside your control. Things like the governance, how the government is working, how the industry is doing. For example, you could supply some products to supermarkets and then they don't pay you. And these are some of the things that they are outside your control. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, then there are also the government changing government policies. So you find the landscape is changing all the time, and therefore it becomes very difficult for you to implement your strategies, because when you start with the strategies, you start with a thought that the ground is going to be level. It's like going into a football pitch, and then the coach, instead of throwing the football, he throws a rugby ball, so it bounces in every direction. And you may have to land on your feet when you are landing, because taxations, government policies, import duties, new licenses are coming all the time. And yeah, and the other thing also you face in this region, for example, especially in Africa, is the administration of justice. Because when you start a small business, you know that if somebody owes you money, and there is a law to protect you. But then you find that when you go to court, the cases like this can take forever. And you don't want to be taking your customer all the time to court because they didn't pay you. So these geopolitics sometimes are very difficult. And the other thing also is
Oh dear, gone again. Because he must be in the farm. Remember, we mentioned that he has an orchard. So we just conclude that he's in the farm and it is very far, far away.
It must be the mountain interference, when
Yeah,
you're near.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, yes,
moving along. So let's talk about measuring success.
sure.
Let's think about, you'll also give us your insight on yourself, but
Mhm.
also guide how can founders track their progress effectively and ensure that they stay aligned with their business vision.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, one of the things that we can do that is avoiding burnout.
Mhm.
One of the things as entrepreneurs we do is to find ourselves going and going and going and having those dreams, energy, and you want to just say, how do I do what is called self-care? How do you ensure that you
Mm.
have mental and physical checks so that you do not run out of energy? Set boundaries so that you are able to establish work hours. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, you find you're working round the clock. You are not able to put a limit as to it's your business. So you don't have an 8 to 5. And when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a founder, when it's your business, you're working round the clock. How do you try and set boundaries so that you're able to establish hours that are good and you stick to them? also something called delegating. How do you ensure that you are not taking on everything and trying to achieve it in your own? Because you have people and hopefully you have a team. How do you automate? And sometimes if you are a one-man show, because that's how we start as businesses, we can outsource. Nowadays, there's so many opportunities out there. You can actually go into online and find somebody to do your basic tasks that you need, whether it's looking for orders, accepting calls, following up on deliveries. You can be able to outsource all those special small things so that as a business person and a founder and the leader, you're actually not wasting a lot of time doing administrative things that can be done by somebody else. So automating is also something new that you can be able to do it. And there are systems and processes out there. So there's also ensuring that you have a scheduled downtime. How do you ensure that you have time to recuperate mental breaks in terms of as you go on and there are things that were not expected and they have come? How do you ensure that you lean on systems that exist, your network of partners in believing? How do you go on to them to make sure that you're able to do what? To you leverage those opportunities, leverage those systems, ensure that you have emotional support around you, ensure the people who are around you can actually understand your vision. So that means you also have shared it to them and they understand why it is necessary. Why is it that this vision is there in the first place, and why is it that it's important that you achieve what needs to be achieved? And even now, as you do that, how do you celebrate those small wins? The people who are around you, how do they understand? You have regular check-ins. This is what you planned monthly, and you're having monthly reviews. This is what you planned quarterly, and you're having quarterly reviews. How do you ensure that you're tracking your performance? How do you ensure your key performance indicators, which we call KPIs, are actually being successful? And we mean that we actually are upfront. You can have 3 KPIs on your finances, 3 KPIs on your customers' engagement, 3 KPIs on your business operations, and then now track them. Whether it's the revenue growth that you're tracking, whether it's the customer retention that you're tracking, and something very important, employee satisfaction, because if you're a business that is going to grow, eventually you're going to need employees. So how do you ensure that you have enough and proper systems and statutory requirements? There are things that we have to put together that are required by the government. How do we ensure that we have these systems and we are adhering to these systems? We are doing what needs to be done so that we actually do not miss out and bring the business down. So those are some of the things we can be able to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Mm.
Kimotho, you'll be able to give us a quick one or two things on measuring
Yes,
success.
let's try that.
I just want to hear
Yes, I
your
think
measuring success.
measuring success. I think first of all, the word you're asking is a success, and I think as Mary has been talking about to us about having a strategy, a very clear strategy. I think what you are doing is how successful your strategy is working, and you cannot be able to measure that unless you have broken your strategies into actionable goals, like Mary has talked about. I like looking at this as the whole idea of strategy as a tree. And if you look at a tree, you have the trunk. At the trunk, you can say that is your mission, as your mission for your business, and that's what you want to achieve. That is the trunk of the tree. But then you have the branches, which are coming from the tree, and these could be your goals. You could have a goal to increase the sales, to make your organization very efficient. But then for each branch, there are twigs. They are small twigs, and these twigs could be your strategies on how you want to achieve that. And then the leaves themselves are the activities that you want to implement. And if you look at that structure, you can actually see that there is no leaf that is doing nothing in a tree. So when you come to even into doing things like prioritizing your work, you are doing the things that are only aligned to your vision and to your mission. And those are the things that entrepreneurs spend their time on. So if these activities are implemented properly, you achieve your strategy, you achieve your goal, and you achieve your mission. So you are not spending time on things that are not aligned to your mission and vision. And there is this idea I like saying a lot, like if you look at time actually, for me, I call it time equals life, and therefore time management equals life management. And there is one person who wrote a book in 1906. It's called James Allen, actually. And he said, men are willing to improve themselves, to change their circumstances, but they are unwilling to improve themselves. So, and for this conversation, I think it is very valuable because we are trying to improve our circumstances, and we are also trying to improve ourselves so that those circumstances can improve. So the way I measure my success, or the way I think we should measure success, is the activities we are spending time on, are they contributing to that major goal that we want to do? And the only way to do that is to make sure how you generated these activities. Did you generate them by way of thought, or are you finding them and correcting them on the way? So if you have a goal, then you have to ask yourself, what will it take? What can I do to be able to achieve these objectives? And if these are executed, then you can actually see that success is actually achieved. And it is very easy to measure that because if you said, for example, you can increase your sales by 2 million by July this year, and then you can measure, you can have some goals that you have to register. For example, if you are in product manufacturing, you can say by March this year, we will have already put my goods in 200 stores. That already is a success itself, because you can see by putting your goods in 200 stores, then you are moving towards, you are moving yourself towards achieving the goal of $2 million sales by this particular time. So success, you measure success continuously, but not to wait until July and you ask yourself, have I achieved? You know, because if you have not achieved your 2 million shillings by July, you can't go back to March. So it is how that picture of the tree. The activities must actually be contributing on a weekly basis to where you want to go. So you don't measure success by the last outcome, but you measure by, am I doing things that are aligned to my mission? And are they complete? And therefore, am I leading to where I want to go? So success is a continuous measurement to me. It is not at the end of the goal, because if you have missed your target, then you have missed it. And I think that's how I measure that success myself, by measuring activities and are they being achieved, and we are having very clear strategic objectives for every goal.
Thank you. I like the analogy of the tree. That's a very simple way to actually communicate and adopt. I wish everybody would just have that. That would be so simple, because that's very easy to remember. So we come into time management, and we'll start with you, Arthur. When we talk about time management, let's think about the prioritization and productivity. With so many demands on entrepreneurs' time, how do you assist them probably prioritize tasks effectively so they're able to focus on high impact activities? I also want you to probably give us an insight based on the experience that you've also had. You are incorporated then coming in to assist the same corporates. Instead of now are outside now looking in. So can you give me some insights on that? Thank you.
I think that's a wonderful thing. It was a wonderful question. And I think the answer to that question really lies on what we are calling prioritizing. And if you take just what we have just discussed about how to link goals with the specific strategies on how to do it and the activities, so that the activities are contributing to the bigger goal, the question we ask ourselves when we are talking about prioritizing is, what are you actually prioritizing? Some people have got this notion that you wake up in the morning, kick the blanket, maybe you yawn one or two, twice, and then you move into your car and head on for your office. and you think that whatever you comes out of the day, you start arranging those activities into priorities. That is a wrong approach to time management. Time management is about designing your life. It is not, for example, how many zeros? If you are prioritizing all the tasks that are not aligned to your purpose, how many zeros can you add to make one? Even if you add zeros, activities that are not related to your work, even if you add them from here to the planet Mars, they will never be equal to one. They will always be zero. So how do you make sure that all the activities are related? So we define the time management as doing the right things, the right way, and for the right reason. Now the question from that definition is, what are the right things to spend your time on? What are the things you should be actually prioritizing? And the only way you can be sure that what you are prioritizing are things that will contribute to your business is if you generated them, you are the one generating these things that you are supposed to do. For example, what I normally do is that I would ask myself, what is my objective for this year? To create sales worth 500,000 shillings or something like that in 2 months. Then you ask yourself, what are the activities I can do? Maybe increase my productivity, production, maybe open up new outlets, maybe bring in new products, maybe train my salespeople effectively. Now, you can listen to what we are saying here. Those activities are all related. And if you ask yourself, which one do I do first? So you are always prioritizing things that have to do with business. But sometimes this word prioritizing, we take it to mean that you take all the activities that are not positive, active towards your business, and then you start rearranging them in any order. If they are not contributing to your goal, they should not even be in your diary in the first place. So, and this is what you should managing your life instead of your life managing you. So, there are times when a year passes, and when you look back, you ask yourself, have I really been living? And where did the time go? 365 days, where did they go? Actually, the time passed. But the point is, you did not spend your time on the right things because you are not the one who generated them. Let me give you an example. You are a corporate, you are an SME, you are the owner of the business, you started a business. And because today, on Monday morning, a friend of yours calls you and tells you, let's go for golf. And because you had not planned on what you are going to do this week for your business, that becomes an activity. Let's go. And then you go and play golf. But that is a golf that you had not yourself engineered to go and do it, and it doesn't contribute to your goal. So you can look very, very busy, but you are actually busy wasting time. So the only way to do this is to actually prioritize and make sure you are the one generating the list that are in your diary. And this must emanate from what Mary said, strategic. It must be strategic, and it must be emanating from your goal. So the word to use here is, who is designing your life? Are you the one designing your life, or you are just picking up pieces all on the way? And for this matter, there is something that Mary talked about, burnout. If you look at the way we live our life, for example, you say from the time you are born to the time you die, let's say assume at the age of 90, you can actually see that is your life, and that is the time you have. You have only 4,690 weeks, and you have 32,828 days. Those are the only time you have. No more, no less. But if you look at the way you spend your time on that road from the day one you are born to the 90, if you look at you put it at a microscope, you will see that you spend your life in rows, various rows. So, and these rows are, you are at work, you are an entrepreneur, and you are a family man, you are family lady, you have got a social, you have friends, and you have time also to improve yourself. All these roles, you are playing them continuously. Now, if you prioritize only things to do with work, it means the family matters you suffer. So how do you do that? You have to do exactly what we said in the beginning. For every role, there must be a strategy and there must be a mission. What do you want to do as a social person? What do you want to do as a family person? So that you are generating all those activities that are aligned to where you want to go in every role of your life. And you will find that every activity, you don't even have to sit down and prioritize. Prioritizing now becomes which is more urgent than the other, but not what is more important, because all the things that in your diary now are all important. Now the question is which is more urgent?
Yeah.
Which is more urgent? So you prioritize first on the basis of, are they aligned? The activities I'm spending time, are they aligned to where I want to go as a family or as a business person? And then you ask yourself, which one is more urgent in terms of time? That's how to prioritize, so that you prioritize only the important things and not all the things that come you come across on this planet.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kathy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think you already mentioned something about burnout, and I think Mary also mentioned something about the burnout when you talked about giving yourself physical and mental checks, and then those set boundaries and set limits. That's very important. Um, so one other question. So balancing growth and execution. Let's start off with Mary. How can founders balance working on long-term business goals while handling family operational demands? I think Kim also has touched a bit on it. I would like to hear your insight, Mary, especially when you've talked about the coaching business, where you've mentioned about you have to start listening more. So you're listening to someone, you're looking at the clock and thinking to yourself, it's dinner time, guys, you need to like wind up. So probably you can guide us on that. Thank you. You need to unmute. One day it will be automatic. There'll be an AI when you
for
immediately start talking,
for
it
sure,
just
for sure.
happens.
And we are heading there. AI is slowly
Mm-hmm.
having conversations, and I've been testing it
Yeah.
the last 1 week, just asking it questions, and you're talking it to it like you belong, like a human being, and it gives you actually picks up a conversation from where you were last and asks, what have we done since the last time? So balancing growth and
Yeah.
execution. Now, entrepreneurs sometimes, and even professionals, you can find yourself stuck in daily operations and leaving very little time for strategic growth. And it's important for us to balance both. It's important to put time aside so that we have what we call strategic thinking days, and set as time
Mm-hmm.
apart for reviewing our planning and our visioning. How do we ensure that, in addition to our wheel of life, and last week I went through the various things that we have in our wheel of life, how do we ensure that we've stricken that harmony as far as our wheel of life is concerned? At the end of the week,
Mm-hmm.
do we take a strategic review at both our personal life and our professional life? If you are to look at your roses for that week in all your various areas, what were the successes
Mm-hmm.
that you can actually bring out as your roses for that week in your wheel of life, in the various areas of your wheel of life? At the same time, the opportunities, which we call birds, where are all those opportunities in terms of hope, in terms of things to improve? And even looking at your team, because you do have team and you have team operations and systems and processes, where are your birds? What worked well
Mm-hmm.
last week and what could
Yeah.
work even better if? So that's one of the other things that you're asking yourself. And then we have our thorns. What are those things when you touch a rose and you have the thorn prick you? I'm sure you don't want to touch that rose stem again where the thorn is. In fact, sometimes you throw that rose away because that
Yeah.
thorn keeps pricking you even when you're not touching the
Yeah.
rose. Why?
Yeah.
Because you put the thorn away, the rose away, but that prick that was in your thumb is still there. So, what
Yeah.
are those thorns in our personal lives, in our businesses that we want to do away with? When we balance our growth, when we want to execute so that we have success, how do we review that? How do we ensure that we are creating that balance? How do we ensure we are continuously improving? I brought up the issue of Kaizen last week. How do we ensure that Kaizen, continuous improvement, everything you do, the next time you do it, it's going to be done better, even if it's a 1% plus. How do you improve on every action on your wheel of life? And go back and do that review and then see what are you going to do. And then as a founder, how do we talk like the business
Are
owners
you muted,
and not
Mary?
the operators? I'm muted? Did I mute again? No.
No, 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 not at
Oh,
all.
okay, sorry. Okay, I
Kindly
was wondering.
continue.
Thank you. I was wondering, was I continuing to talk and I'm muted? Okay, thank you so much. So, how do we also ensure, as I brought up the issue of accountability and the partners in believing, how do you bring them on board? When we are painting a tall building, the
Mm,
painters have what is called scaffolding. And the scaffolding is brought to safeguard your opposite, your left, your right, and so that you're also harnessed up there so that you
mm-hmm.
don't fall down. So, whether you're going to do this scaffolding through the board, whether you're going to do this scaffolding through your employees, your business partners, your mentors, your technology. Now, locally, we have groups that we can call upon, like the SME Foundation, the Founders Association. That is a support group for us to even, it can also be a partner in believing in what we do in terms of the programs and trainings that they have been put together. In terms of the people you do business with, what is it that we can be able to go out there and they understand what you do and also be able to look at them? Your ecosystem. What is your ecosystem around you that can give you the support? So that when it comes to innovation, when it comes to financial support, sustainability, the key pillars that are important, how are you able to access the capital that Kemodo talked about that can be a challenge? How do we leverage technology? Whether it's the AI or whichever way, how do we look at opportunities for market access and expansion? Right now, there's a big opportunity for Africa to do business with Africa. And there are all
Yeah.
these trades that are being signed up so that we can have intertrade agreement in Africa. As a business
Yeah.
person, how are you
Yeah.
looking at those systems and processes? And are you ready when that opportunity comes up to take on that? Do you have the capacity to do it? Do you have the skills? Do you have the government statutory requirements that are going to be required to help you achieve that? And are you constantly reviewing your plan? Whether it's your 60 days, whether it's your 1 year, whether it's your 3 years, how are you ensuring that you keep in touch with what needs to be done? And you are in touch with the market situations and that industry also. And controlled by, you don't operate as a business isolated. What are the other things that actually play a role in establishing that success? Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, Mr. Kimotho, remember we mentioned that you're an SME owner and you're
Kathy, I
also.
can't hear you. I don't know what. Kathy,
Can you hear me
can you hear
now?
me? You can
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes.
Okay. All right. I couldn't hear you. All right. I think I would just like, first of all, to add one thing that I have found it very interesting as far as organizing yourself to achieve goals as a founder of a business or entrepreneur. And one of the critical elements I have found is how we organize ourselves, because most of the people, if you look at your diary on daily basis, you look and see that people wake up in the morning and they say, what am I going to do today? And to me, the way I have seen it and my experience is that organizing yourself by the day only causes urgency addiction, because you have 1,000,001 things you cannot do. For example, you have children in school, you have your grandmother, you have all those things, you have health issues to address, you have personal matters, you are a farmer like myself, I'm a farmer, I am this, I am that. All those things cannot be done in a single day. So what we normally do is we tend to shelve them and we think, all right, they are done. That is wrong, because there are 52 weeks in a year. There are 365 days in a year, and 364 there, and there are 52 weeks in a year, in a year, and every week has 7 days. So as an entrepreneur, if you look at that, the fact, even if you pause there, and sometimes we think we don't have a lot of time to do all the things we need to do, but reflect and see, every week has 7 days. Therefore, you have opportunity. If you cannot, for example, visit your child in school, or to find out how that child was doing this week, on Monday, you have an opportunity to do so on Friday. And that shows you that you have actually have time. If you cannot visit a certain bank to discuss about funding of your business on Monday because you have too many things, you can do that on Thursday. And that gives you, or if you can't do it this Thursday, there is Thursday after that, after next week, and there is another Thursday. So your diary should actually, that organizing by the week, gets you from urgency addiction, and it doesn't create this desperation that I don't have a lot of time. So there are so many days you can do that kind of stuff. So the best way, the most successful entrepreneurs organize themselves by the week, but not by the day. So you don't just keep up the blanket and you say, today I'm going to do so many things, because there's no much time in a single day to do all those things. So 365 days or 52 weeks, you have opportunity to do all the strategies that Mary talked us about, strategic goals, activities that are related to your job, and then you will not be feeling that you have so much to push for time. So that's how we do organize yourself by the day. And then there is something else that I want to add there quickly, that there is a research that I would like to refer you to, that was conducted by Harvard Business School in about 45 countries, why strategies are not implemented and why entrepreneurs fail to do their strategy. And one of them is that out of in a corporate world, the strategies are written very clearly, but they're not implemented because only 5% of the executives, including the business owners, understand that strategy. So how can it be implemented if you don't even understand the strategy yourself? And that is the fact. Then the other thing is that business founders all over, on all those countries that the research was conducted, they spend less than 2 hours a month demonstrating to their workers where they are headed. So you find that if you are the entrepreneur, you are the only one, especially if you are the founder, like Mary said, you start this business alone, then maybe you bring your family, and you are the only one who knows where you are going. It's like having a ship sailing from New York to a port in Africa, and the only person who knows the destination is a captain. So when the captain is sleeping, they find themselves in Venezuela because nobody else understood where you are steering the ship to. So creating a shared vision with the people you are working with so that you know. Then number 3, critical thing that makes business won't work, and I am been very private of this. I mean, very much aware of this, and I try very much to avoid it, is that only 4% of the budget is aligned to the mission. So it's like a team in Africa, they are going to play against Brazil team, but instead of wearing football boots, they wear those gumboots for farmers. You know, you have bought, instead of buying the correct equipment, you are trying to play football or to play boxing wearing shoes in your head. It won't work. So we need to make sure is aligned to where we are going. And that is the way we can be able to be aligned together. So creating a shared vision and making sure that the budgets are aligned to where you are headed. So every sharing is spent in the direction of the mission and vision. That way we can and organize by the week. So the question to ask ourselves as entrepreneur is this week, what can I do to improve my business? The second question, what can I do this week to improve my family? What can I do to make significant effect? So you find the things you have listed down in all your roles this week have to do with where you want to go. And then the only thing remains now is, when do I do it? You can decide to visit your school child on Thursday. You can decide to go to a certain supermarket. You can decide to create a seminar to centralize your people on a strategy on Wednesday. So the things that you are actually doing are all aligned there. And that is a strategy that didn't work. So organize by yourself by the week, and make sure that not by the day. It is too short for you to see the vision, but a week is long enough to allow yourself to be able to be more flexible, and it doesn't put you in the urgency addiction. You can actually see you have enough time to implement all your strategy, and you have 52 weeks in a year. If you cannot do those things in 52 weeks a year, something must not be very right, because it is possible to do all those things in 52 weeks in a year. You have a lot of time. And I'm sure now everybody listening to us, if you think about 52 weeks in a year, I have a lot of time to do things. But you organize by the day, it will be 365th day, and you have not achieved a single thing. And that is how, and your workers, the people who are working for you, they have also to start asking themselves question: what are we going to do this week as a team to achieve the objective of our business? If you do that, I can assure you, we call that 30-minute organizing process. Every Sunday or every Saturday, you ask yourself the week ahead, what are we going to do? It is 30 minutes organizing process that puts you in control of your business. Kathy.
Thank you very much. Could not keep up. Very short time, but learning very many things. There was Wheel of Life. We need to go through the Harvard School publication. I've liked, what was the other one? I think I liked the urgency addiction. That's an interesting one. I've also liked the one for, of course, the very one that touched me was Partners in Believing, definitely. And of course, the way you've talked about designing your life. So the way you've put it, so many times we compartmentalize everything differently. We say I'm going to do my life differently, forgetting that life is also going to affect your home life and the business that you also want to run. So very interesting. Thank you very much for your contributions, my dear guests. It has been very insightful. Too bad we have run short of time, but I'm sure it was very, 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 very interesting. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have enjoyed yourself too. As we wrap up, I would like to invite you all to join us again next month as we continue on another chapter of our Founder Series, as we continue helping you explore key aspects of business growth. And also, if you're not already a member of the SME Founders Association, I encourage you to join us. So remember, at SFA, we connect founders to money, markets, and mentors, giving you the tools and connections you need to scale your business. And next week, we'll be having our Founders Hangout. We'll be at the Royal Golf Club, starting at about 7:30 to about 11 a.m. Kindly get your ticket, kindly come and connect, share, and learn. And with that, I call it a day. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing all of you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.